This program is brought to you as a community service of BAF Insurance. The views, opinions, and advice expressed by guests on this show are those of the guests and do not reflect the views, opinions, and advice of BAF Insurance. For medical advice, please visit your medical professional.
Your health, your wealth, your health, your wealth, your health for life. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance. Your health, our priority.
Welcome to another episode of Your Health, Your Wealth. My name is Chuck Taylor along with Miss Desiree, and each and every time we get together and we talk about things that matter to you. We talk about your health, your well-being, and how you can better yourself in today's world from a health standpoint.
Welcome, everyone, to Your Health, Your Wealth, brought to you by BAF Insurance. Your Health, Your Wealth airs every Wednesday from 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. right here on 89.1 FM, Bobo Radio. Remember to tune in each week and tell a friend. You can also catch the shows you missed on YouTube on the Be Well, Be Healthy for Life channel. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
And today we're talking with Mr. Daniel Reed. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Chuck. Happy to be here.
Good. And so a touchy subject for people who haven't been there. But for you, this is a daily occurrence. And we're talking about living with an autistic child, raising an autistic child in the day-to-day dealings of what you have to go through. So let's start by saying, how old is your child? Tell me when you found out about autism and your journey on that. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, Ethan is now 12 years old. He's thriving. He's doing very well. What really happened is that I kind of noticed when Ethan was about a year, he wasn't meeting certain milestones, and I think it was more pronounced because he had family members who had kids around the same age, and they were meeting certain milestones that he was. I think one of the classic signs was that he would never stare you in the eye and would never make eye contact. So I think about about 12 months and 13 months, I started to do some serious research in terms of, what these signs were. And obviously everything that I researched, it kept on coming back that autism. Kind of made a decision at that point that we wanted to get him into preschool early. And he went to preschool when he was about 14 months. And we kind of made a decision that he still wasn't progressing the way that we would like to see him progressing. Although he was meeting milestones, he was still a bit behind, and kind of made a decision when he was about 2 years old that we would go to the States with him and actually have him formally diagnosed if that's what the situation was. And we went to the States with him, and they did a barrage of tests, and the result was that he was on autism spectrum.
Okay. So 12 years now. 12 years ago, was this even on anyone's radar? Because, I mean, nowadays we start to have these conversations as we are having now. Mm-hmm. But back then in that day and age, was this something that, was information readily available? What was that like?
Well, the interesting thing about it from an information standpoint, from an advocacy standpoint, from a therapy standpoint, obviously the States were at a different level than where we were in Cayman. Obviously, we've caught up quite a bit in terms of where we are now. So it was a bit daunting to get that diagnosis and saying to ourselves, so, what do we do now and how do we help this child? Fortunately, there were still a lot of services on the island and in terms of therapies he needed, and made a decision right away in terms of getting him into the requisite therapies that he needed, ABA, speech therapy and OT therapy, and got him going. And it made a world of a difference. And I think at the end of the day is that some parents are apprehensive, even in those early stages. They can see the signs and they don't want to get the formal diagnosis because they just don't want to cope with what that result is going to be. But the earlier that you start in terms of services, the better the outcome is going to be for your child.
It's kind of going through a routine, getting started, and you know what the outcome is, but formal diagnosis is definitely, I would say, a plus because that helps you move through services better.
Yeah, it definitely helps you move through services because obviously even when we came back, there were still services in place on island. We got him into early childhood development through government services, and they gave him the formal diagnosis. So he started getting governmental therapy through HSA and also getting services through private therapy. And because he had the formal diagnosis, everything could start to be put in place, and all of the puzzle pieces started to come together as to putting a plan together for him in terms of moving him forward.
Exactly. So we always talk about services for the person who's in need. What about the family in need? That's a different, because all of a sudden now you have to let moms know, you have to let sisters, family members know. Tell me a little bit about that process.
I think everybody takes it differently. Obviously, when I got the diagnosis, I didn't take it to the fact that, this was a death sentence, because I'd done so much research in terms of seeing all the positive results and what could be possible for somebody on autism spectrum. But in terms of sharing it with family, it was pretty tough. Some family members didn't know how to deal with it. Some family members were in denial. It's like, oh, well, he's not really autistic. He's just a bit delayed. You got to give it time. And I'm like, no, we've done the formal diagnosis, and obviously it is what it is. But I think what is equally important, obviously the services are there in terms of helping the child, but what support services are in place in terms of helping the parents. And I think one of the things that I did was actually to reach out and find as many people in Ireland who had kids on the spectrum, not only at the early stage, but later on in life that their kids were older. And I made it a point in terms of getting mentors and said, well, look, my child has just been diagnosed, what has been their experience, and how have you coped? And then, creating that network is something I call Team Ethan in terms of providing those support services in an informal setting in terms of providing services, not services, but support to a father also and with a child that had a diagnosis of autism. Yeah. And
I think that's one of the things that, I want our listeners to realize that there is movement forward. That there is a definite, but it starts with you. You have to figure out what's your game plan to take that next step, because of course that child is looking for support from you also, but where do you get it from? Because you're kind of, I'm looking to have a normal child, and all of a sudden you have this incredible special need child, and that itself makes you a special need yourself, because there are going to be times that you need information, you need support, you need structure to help you make the best decision for your child.
Yeah, I think what was very important is that I created something called Team Ethan in terms of and I think as it relates to Team Ethan and family is always bigger than that, but also although Ethan had that support from the family side, I made sure that I reached out to people who had kids on the spectrum, also created those bonds and forms of relationships with therapists, not only in Ireland, but actually overseas. So created quite a big network in terms of providing support services, not only for Ethan, but also for myself as a single parent. Yeah.
Danielle, have you had to make many adjustments to your day-to-day life to accommodate being there for your son?
Oh, definitely there are adjustments. At the end of the day, is that it impacts your whole life. I made adjustments in terms of career and everything else in terms of supporting my son. But I think what is equally important is that the more you put in to a child with additional needs, the more that you'll get in terms of them progressing. So definitely a lot of changes. There were definitely a lot of accommodations when he was younger, but as Ethan has gotten older now, it's all about inclusion for him. I don't treat him any different from a neurotypical child, and I think that's made the world of difference in his development. He's included in everything. He goes to art camps, he goes to regular camps with kids and everybody else, and he's included. And I always tell people all the time, treat him as a typical 12-year-old child, and I think that's made a world of a difference in terms of his development and how he actually responds to people in a neurotypical world.
Does your child actually attend classes in a one-on-one setting with a teacher, or like a teacher who's solely dedicated to his needs, or does he attend class in a group setting?
Ethan attends class in a group setting, but obviously he has a TA that's assigned to him and another student. So they help him as needed, but he's in the class with the rest of the students. Yeah.
In his development, when did you? Because most parents, when they get to a certain stage, they're like, yeah, I can kind of let him do his own thing. When did you feel comfortable doing that?
Well, I think in terms of doing his own thing, that's probably I saw a serious surge in Ethan's development over COVID. And what we found during COVID is because we were actually schooling from home, we had to do everything electronically. And we really realized that Ethan has an electronics savant, which is kind of fallen from me because my background and my expertise is in computer and IT systems.
Right.
So he must have got that from me. Yeah. So we saw, like I said, a huge development. And I think one of the things that Ethan does now, he's no different from a 12-year-old child. He likes to, spend time in his room playing video games and also watching TV. And he likes his privacy. When he comes out, he wants to socialize and be with everybody else. But sometimes, like everybody else, like a 12-year-old child, he just wants to stand in his room and be left alone. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
and I think that is probably the hardest thing for parents to do, is allow your child to be a child. Rather than, I got to watch him, I got to take care of him, I got to be there all the time for him. You have to give them time to bloom and grow. And I think that's one of the hardest things, and especially with a child with special needs, that's probably doubly hard, because you want to make sure that, that they're comfortable in their existence. Oh. So when, and I guess kind of being the dad too, you want to be there, you want to make sure you pick him up at all times, but sometimes tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think when he was younger, I would say probably for the first 5 years, it was definitely a little bit overprotective, and then I kind of came to the realization is that, you know what, if I don't treat him and groom him as a neurotypical, or treat him as like any other child, he will never ever blossom or develop. I mean, and I took that direction and did that, and it's paid dividends. I think where Ethan is at now, Ethan does his own laundry, he makes his bed, he's fully functional in terms of, grooming himself and what have you. It was really, really interesting because obviously when it comes to autistic children, people are known that, they can't take a lot of pressure and they have these meltdowns and what have you. Ethan hasn't had a meltdown in over 6 years, but he's been so exposed. And I think a classic example is that I went to a wedding, I think it was about 2 years ago, and I carried Ethan with me, and Ethan sat through a wedding for 2.5 hours and no problem. So when I was actually leaving the bed, a friend of mine came up to me and said, Daniel, long time you haven't seen Ethan. How's Ethan doing? I'm like, this is Ethan. He's like, that's impossible. He can't be an autistic kid. That can't be Ethan. I'm like, yeah, this is Ethan. But Ethan has been so exposed and so included that you really got to spend a lot of time with him to really figure that he's on the spectrum. But that didn't happen overnight. That was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of therapy and a lot of time that's put in by the parents also in terms of getting him there. Yeah.
Exactly. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Your Health, Your Wealth with Desiree, and my name is Chuck Taylor. We're going to take a quick break and come back and continue speaking with Daniel about autism.
Your health, your wealth, your health, your wealth, your health for life. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance. Your health, our priority.
Today on Be Well, Be Healthy for Life, Lady K, your wellness coach, takes a look at autism.
The diagnosis of autism for a child can strike fear in the hearts of the parents. The possible developmental challenges that can accompany the disorder can be frightening. But with enlightenment about the disorder comes hope for millions of children and their families. The Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, estimates that approximately 1 out of every 44 children in the United States is diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder. The CDC has also determined that the disorder is more prevalent in boys than girls, and that most are diagnosed before the age of 4. Today, we'll take a look at autism, what it is, and how we can be sensitive towards families raising children living with autism. Simply put, autism isn't a single condition that affects every child in the same way. In fact, autism, or Autism Spectrum Disorder, ASD, refers to a wide range of conditions identified by challenges with repetitive behaviors, social skills, speech, and nonverbal communication. There are many subtypes of autism, which is why it is a spectrum disorder in which each person with autism displays his or her own strengths and challenges, as well as different abilities to learn, think, and act. Some adults with ASD are highly functional and successfully live on their own, while others are severely challenged and need constant support. A common question is, what causes autism? There's evidence that genetics and possibly environmental issues may be factors, but there is still more research needed to completely solve this puzzle. Autism symptoms typically appear by age 2 or 3, And though they may go unrecognized for some time, these symptoms persist and can interfere with daily living. Sensory issues are common in people living with autism, meaning they can be oversensitive to sound, touch, taste, smell, light, and other factors that stimulate the senses. They may have difficulty with communicating non-verbally and verbally, which affects their ability to speak clearly, understand, or use nonverbal language such as gestures, tone of voice, and facial expressions. Repetitive behaviors such as repeatedly touching objects in a set pattern, staring at spinning objects for long periods, repetitive body movements like rocking or running back and forth are among the many symptoms. People living with autism develop and maintain routines that are hard to break or extreme interest in a narrow set of specific topics. They also have a hard time recognizing and interpreting emotions, whether these emotions are their own or someone else's. In the islands, it is common for us to dismiss anything unusual in a young child as something they will soon grow out of. It is true that some children develop more slowly than others, but parents, please don't wait if you spot any of these symptoms in your child. Take your child for regular checkups and never be ashamed to talk to your medical practitioner about any behaviors or developmental issues you observe. The sooner a child is diagnosed, the better life they will live later on, and the more coping skills you will learn as a parent. There are many resources available in the U.S., but also in the Cayman Islands and the Bahamas. So take the time to do your research and don't be afraid to get help. There are many other parents, just like you, who understand the challenges being faced by your child, who are ready and willing to share their triumphs and to support your family.
Be Well, Be Healthy for Life is brought to you by BAF Global Group. Remember, always consult your doctor before starting any new health and wellness regimen. BAF Global Group offers life, health, and general insurance plus a full suite of financial solutions in the Bahamas, life insurance in the Turks and Caicos Islands, and affordable individual and group health insurance in the Cayman Islands. Visit us at mybafsolutions.com.
Your health, your wealth, your health, your wealth, your health for life.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Your Health, Your Wealth with Desiree and Chuck on Bobo Radio. We're here with you until 7:30 with a host of health tips and information, as well as a special guest to help you and your loved ones live healthier, happier lives.
And remember, the Be Well, Be Healthy for Life podcast with Lady K is also sponsored by BAF Global Group and can be found on YouTube, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, and Podbean podcast platforms. Her episodes are released weekly on the BAF Facebook page as well.
I got diagnosed with cancer in April of 2016. At the time, I wasn't feeling sick or anything like that. I was just going on normal, and then I went to the doctor, and this came about. When I went to Jamaica, I wasn't thinking about, I just went home to do treatment. I wasn't thinking about insurance or anything like that. While I was there, the hospital asked me if I had insurance, and I told them yes. And I had insurance, but I didn't contact my insurance company before I left. And they told me that BAF has an agent there. I contacted Miss Davis at the time, and she told me that I should just save all my receipts and stuff like that. And when I return, they will deal with it. When I came home and contacted Miss Davis, gave her the receipts, she said, okay, we'll, deal with it. And if there was something missing that I didn't have, she would call me and ask me, and I would send it in. And it took no time before, it was cleared up. They paid me what I was, supposed to get. Having an insurance is a very important and it's vital, because if you don't and you get sick with stuff like this, like cancer, the treatment is very expensive, and sometimes you don't have all that money at once. BAF has been there with me.
Your health, your wealth, your health, your wealth, your health for life. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance. Your health, our priority.
Hey, Des, do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's that time when we reach out to one of our wonderful representatives from BAF, and they tell us all the wonderful things about the company. We have Miss Ann this morning.
And she only has 3 minutes, right? First question. What do you do at BAF Insurance?
I am the supervisor at BAF Insurance. I manage the daily administrative function and customer service.
If you could choose one thing that makes BAF stand out from the other insurance companies for your clients, what would that one thing be?
We provide exceptional customer service to all our clients, irrespective of the level of service required.
When someone applies for health insurance with BAF, how long does it take for them to be approved and for the insurance to become effective?
Our turnaround time for approval is 3 to 5 business days. If the policy is approved between the 1st to the 15th of the month, the policy becomes effective the 1st of that month. If it's after the 15th, then it becomes effective the 1st of the following month.
So tell me a little bit now about the claims process. If I have a BAF health insurance plan and I make a claim, how quickly can I expect to have my claim settled?
The turnaround time for claim settlement is 3 to 5 business days, provided that the claim form is filled out with the correct information. We also have an online portal through which providers can submit their claims, which help to make the process a lot more efficient.
And Miss Ann, if someone wanted to get in contact with you, how would they be able to do that?
You can call us at 949-5089, or my direct number is 814-2522.
Your health, your wealth, your health, your wealth, your health for life. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance. Your health, our priority.
I am Desiree, co-host of Your Health, Your Wealth. I'll be with you every Wednesday from 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance as a community service, because at BAF, your health is our priority. Remember to stay on top of your regular health checkups, because, as always, the more you know about your health, the easier it will be for you to stay healthy.
And remember also, if you missed the first half of the program, you can always catch up to what you missed on the Be Well, Be Healthy for Life YouTube channel or on a number of podcast platforms, including Spotify, Podcast Addict, and iHeartRadio. Just look for the Be Well, Be Healthy for Life on all these platforms, and remember to subscribe.
Your health, your wealth, your health, your wealth, your health for life. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance. Your health, our priority.
Okay, we're back with our guest, Daniel Reed. He's the parent of a 12-year-old autistic son. And we have a couple of questions. We hope that you're enjoying the show this morning. Daniel, back to you. Were you ever overly concerned that your son would face certain issues from people in society? How do you deal with those internal fears?
Definitely had those fears. Obviously, when Ethan was first diagnosed and not knowing what life would look like for him, would he be able to go to university? Had a lot of dreams. Would he play sports? Would he eventually have a job? Would he eventually have a mate and be married? Could he live independently? Those fears I don't have anymore. I'm definitely an advocate warrior in terms of autism in Cayman. I'm on the board of directors for Inclusion Cayman. Also, I work with Autism Society. There's also support group which is called Autism K Moms and Dads, which provides a lot of support for people who've just been first diagnosed and what have you. So what we're seeing now in terms of what we're doing at Inclusion Cayman, we're actually placing so many of these young people in jobs. We just placed a young man in a job at Price Waterhouse, and there was one that we placed in Conyers some time back. So the opportunities are there. We're working in terms of the government, in terms of assisted living and housing and things of that nature. So I don't have those concerns anymore. There's so much being done. There's so much advocacy taking place in the private sector and also in the public sector in terms of providing these opportunities and giving these young people the best opportunity to live full lives.
Speaking about that, you're talking about something I think that this is a great step for our society to move into. Literally, there's no reason why any company, private, government, should not be inclusive of everyone, especially someone on the spectrum, because they have a lot to contribute. So with that being said, what are your thoughts about that? You see it from both sides. You live with it, and then you work through inclusion with it. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, like I said, I made a decision years ago that my son would be included in all facets, whether it be recreation, social, work, and what have you. And that was a determining thing in terms of the direction that I took and where I wanted to go. Obviously, had an opportunity to get involved with Inclusion Cayman as a director, and that was the focus that we were going to do, advocate for inclusion. Like I said, I think it's made a world of a difference. These young people have so many skills, and most autistic people have a savant. So that means that they have a really, really good skill set, whether it be as a pianist or whether in mathematics or whether it be in IT. And what we're finding now is that companies, both in the public sector and private sector, were a bit apprehensive about bringing somebody on with special needs or additional needs because they didn't know how to actually integrate them into the company and how they could be supported. But now we actually have full-time staff at Inclusion Cayman which provide those services. So, for example, if your company decides that you're going to take on somebody, we would actually have our inclusion specialist come and work with you, put a program together, and come in periodically in terms of seeing where things are at and supporting you in any capacity that you needed. And we've had 100% success in all of the young people that we've actually placed with special needs in these various companies and all.
Exactly. And with that being said, let me just toss it out there. We have a forum that we're talking with. If a company or someone from HR, wherever is listening right now, how can they reach out to you to say, hey, I'd like to be included into the program? How could they do that?
The best way to do in terms of being included from an inclusion standpoint would be to get in contact with Inclusion Cayman. And you can reach out to Inclusion Cayman. The CEO of Inclusion Cayman is Shan Harriman. She's heading that up. If you want to contact me directly, I can leave my contact information.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Give your number.
Yeah, you can give me a call at 938-7913, and you can give me a call, and I'll get you in contact with Inclusion Cayman or even the Autism Society. Wherever you need to go and wherever you are in your journey, I've done it, and I've been through it, so I'm definitely... Successfully, yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I'd be happy to guide and coach anybody.
Exactly. And with that being said, success is something that we look at and we see the positive side, but there has been negatives, there's been pitfalls, there have been fallings. How have you been dealing with that with the help of your family support and things of that nature? How important is that?
No, it's absolutely important. Like I said, family support is definitely key, but I think you have to look outside of family also. I think what is equally important is that you identify people who have kids on the spectrum and that you can get that kind of support, get that kind of guidance, see what their successes are and what they've put in place to do what they've done. Because at the end of the day, it gives you hope. Because when you take it on by yourself, sometimes, there's nobody else in your family that has a child that's on the spectrum. And they provide the love and support as best as they can. But you don't know it until you walk in those shoes. So like I said, I made it a point really, really early on that I would create a team, and which was called, I call it Team Ethan. And that's the educators, that's therapists, that's friends, that's people who have kids on the spectrum. And that's just, people just in general who actually support Ethan and support me in our journey.
With that being said, I know we've been talking personal, but this one may be a little bit it's okay to say no to it, but is there anyone else in the family with a child with the spectrum or any siblings or anybody, or it's just Ethan?
No, it's just Ethan from the family itself. There are some cousins, which are third cousins, I think it was, that are on the spectrum. But in terms of my brothers and sisters, Ethan is the only one on the spectrum. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. What kind of advice would you give to parents who have autistic children? I know you gave us the details again, but if you don't mind, you could just repeat those. Just say the numbers like a couple of times slowly so we can get people to get those contact details. What kind of encouragement would you give other parents who have children on the spectrum?
I would clearly say at the end of the day, autism diagnosis is definitely not a death sentence. And there's so many opportunities. These kids are so bright. They're so versatile in terms of what they do, and certainly they're so resilient. So what I would say to a parent who's just been, just diagnosed with a child or somebody who's going through the journey, there's so many support services. Like I said, namely, number one, Inclusion Cayman. Not only do we support in terms of employment for these young people, we support in terms of getting them into mainstream summer camps and programs, after-school programs. We also help in terms of going into schools, mainstream schools where these young people are, and helping the administration and also the teachers and putting programs together for them, supporting them any way that we can. And we've just had resounding successes in all aspects in terms of this advocacy that we've been doing. There's also informal support group, which is Autism K Moms and Dads, which is on Facebook, and you can go and just do a quick search in there. Once you get to that particular group, you can just put in your details, and it just goes through an approval process, which is almost a formality. But that group is pretty good. That group's pretty big in terms of we have parents who are young kids, and we have parents of adults, the kids on the autism spectrum, and also teenagers. So you get to actually interact with people of all different stages of life in terms of what stages your child will go through. Get the support, get the advice in terms of helping you move forward.
Thank you so much for being a guest on our show. We really appreciate you sitting down and sharing so much of your personal life with the public. And we hope that there is someone out there that will hear this, that this entire show will be beneficial to.
That's so true, Des. If you're living with a child on the spectrum, please reach out. They have wonderful support groups, lots of information right here in the Cayman Islands. Des, over to you as we get set to listen to Lady K.
You can check out Lady K on her Be Well, Be Healthy for Life YouTube channel. Her podcast, Be Well, Be Healthy for Life, is sponsored by BAF Global Group, and episodes are released weekly on the BAF Facebook page, as well as on Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Podcast, and Podbean. Over to you, Lady K.
Today on Be Well, Be Healthy for Life, Lady K, your wellness coach, talks about summer water safety for children.
It's summer, and between summer camps, family trips, and just general recreation, children will spend a lot of time in the water. Whether at the beach or the pool, water safety is important and well worth mentioning. And now is a good time to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Hit the notification bell also so you know when we have new episodes that have been uploaded. The first rule of water safety is to make sure your child knows never to go near or enter water alone, even if he or she is an excellent swimmer. Teach them to always have a swimming partner, or at the very least, an adult who can swim within easy reach. Even great swimmers can get into difficulty and need help. It can take only a second for a child to get into trouble in a swimming pool or at the beach. And once that happens and the panic sets in, the results can be terrifying and often fatal. Adults, please remember that it's important to not just be present, but to keep an eye on your children while in the water. Again, it only takes a second for a fun swim to become deadly. And if you're caught up on your phone or your other mobile device, it can be too late by the time you notice that your child needs help. If you have a pool at home, prevent unsupervised access by installing barriers around the pool or a hot tub, and never leave pool toys in the water. Children may be tempted to reach in for those toys and accidentally fall in. Despite living on an island, many Caribbean children either do not know how to swim or are simply not proficient. So life vests and arm floaters should be a part of your water arsenal. Pool noodles can be fun and act as flotation devices that children can use if they get tired while swimming. It's also a good idea to have a lifeguard ring or two hanging off the edge of your pool at all times for easy access. For families that live near lakes and ponds, the same is true. Erect fences or other barriers to keep children away and be very vigilant. Don't be afraid to explain to your children why you're instructing them to stay away. Their natural curiosity is going to draw them to the water, so be candid. Tell them the truth and avoid using the "because I said so" response. Teach children not to run around or to engage in horseplay at the poolside. Pool decks can be slippery, and accidents ranging from falling in, slipping and hitting one's head happen all too frequently. Jumping on top of a friend or belly flopping and diving can all lead to injuries, especially in shallow pools. So teach them how to respect the water and to enjoy it safely. And while we're on the subject of water, remember, water is still the very best way to stay hydrated. Each year, hundreds of people, children included, suffer heat strokes and the effects of dehydration from the high temperature and the humidity of our climate. Teach your children to always have water with them and explain that the sugary drinks, while they're fun and they're tasty, are not the best way to stay cool and hydrated. Sugary drinks actually make them thirstier. So choose water or even low sugar energy drinks that replace electrolytes and potassium that they lose in their sweat. Finally, the most important thing you can do to keep your child water safe this summer is to teach them how to swim if they can't. It's the best defense against water fatalities. And the best thing you can do as a supervising adult is to learn CPR. In the best of times, under the best circumstances, CPR can save a life. Be prepared and enjoy the summer water fun.
Be Well, Be Healthy for Life is brought to you by BAF Global Group. Remember, always consult your doctor before starting any new health and wellness regimen. BAF Global Group offers life, health, and general insurance plus a full suite of financial solutions in the Bahamas, life insurance in the Turks and Caicos Islands, and affordable individual and group health insurance in the Cayman Islands. Visit us at mybafsolutions.com.
Your health, your wealth, your health, your wealth, your health for life. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance. Your health, our priority.
Thank you so much, Lady K, for your tips about being safe in time for our summer and wet weather, and also just jumping in the pool and heading to the sea as often as we do here in Cayman. It's always great to be reminded about these information.
Your health, your wealth, your health, your wealth, your health for life. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance. Your health, our priority.
Hey, Des, do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's that time when we reach out to one of our wonderful representatives from BAF, and they tell us all the wonderful things about the company. We have Miss Ann this morning.
And she only has 3 minutes, right? First question. What do you do at BAF Insurance?
I am the supervisor at BAF Insurance. I manage the daily administrative function and customer service.
If you could choose one thing that makes BAF stand out from the other insurance companies for your clients, what would that one thing be?
We provide exceptional customer service to all our clients, irrespective of the level of service required.
When someone applies for health insurance with BAF, how long does it take for them to be approved and for the insurance to become effective?
Our turnaround time for approval is 3 to 5 business days. If the policy is approved between the 1st to the 15th of the month, the policy becomes effective the 1st of that month. If it's after the 15th, then it becomes effective the 1st of the following month.
So tell me a little bit now about the claims process. If I have a BAF health insurance plan and I make a claim, how quickly can I expect to have my claim settled?
The turnaround time for claim settlement is 3 to 5 business days, provided that the claim form is filled out with the correct information. We also have an online portal through which providers can submit their claims, which help to make the process a lot more efficient.
And Miss Ann, if someone wanted to get in contact with you, how would they be able to do that?
You can call us at 949-5089, or my direct number is 814-2522.
Great. Time's up, Ann. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Your Health, Your Wealth with Desiree and Chuck on Bobo Radio. We're here with you until 7:30 a.m. with a host of health tips and information, as well as a special guest to help you and your loved ones live healthier, happier lives.
Your health, your wealth, your health, your wealth, your health for life. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance. Your health, our priority.
I am Desiree, co-host of Your Health, Your Wealth. I'll be with you every Wednesday from 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance as a community service because at BAF, your health is our priority. Remember to stay on top of your regular health checkups because, as always, the more you know about your health, the easier it will be for you to stay healthy.
And remember also, if you missed the first half of the program, you can always catch up to what you missed on the Be Well, Be Healthy for Life YouTube channel or on a number of podcast platforms, including Spotify, Podcast Addict, and iHeartRadio. Just look for the Be Well, Be Healthy for Life on all these platforms and remember to subscribe.
Your health, your wealth, your health, your wealth, your health for life. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance. Your health, our priority.
Thank you so much, Lady K, for your tips about being safe for our summer and also just jumping in the pool and heading to the sea as often as we do here in Cayman. It's always great to be reminded about these information. And remember, the Be Well, Be Healthy for Life podcast with Lady K is also sponsored by BAF Global Group and can be found on YouTube, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, and Podbean podcast platforms. Her episodes are released weekly on the BAF Facebook page as well.
Your health, your wealth, your health, your wealth, your health for life. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance. Your health, our priority.
I would like to welcome her to the studio, Ms. Sharon Spencer of BAF Insurance. We got 3 minutes, Ms. Sharon. Now, I know this may be like rapid, but we got 3 minutes to answer as many questions as you can about the wonderful company and what they have to offer. The first question, let the timer start right now. How long has it been that you've been with BAF?
I have been with BAF for the past 15 years.
Wow, that's incredible. So you literally know everything there is to know about the company.
I believe so.
Okay. All right. With that being said, now, if you could choose one thing at BAF that stands out from all the other insurance companies for your client, what would that one thing be?
We have been in this service serving the Caribbean for over 100 years. So we have over 100 years of experience.
That gives me a certain amount of pride knowing that this company has been around for that long and also serving the community. And serving the community through the difficult and through the fatter times in life. And of course, you know, right now we've been going through some very lean and very thoughtful. Give me a little bit of information about your health plans over there at BAF.
Well, we have individual health as well as group health. So whether you're an individual consumer or a member of your company's health insurance group, choosing BAF means putting your confidence in us to provide the highest quality health insurance plans with the highest impact on your pocket and member support services that meet all your exact requirements.
And so one of the things that I would ask if I was just hearing about the company and I wanted to take it to my HR manager.
Chuck, BAF is a specialist in the management of employee benefits. Together with our global network of partners, we have designed a best-in-breed solutions to manage employees' benefits, putting excellent employee service and employer cost reduction at the heart of everything we do. Wow. We have dedicated and knowledgeable local staff, streamlined and state-of-the-art administrative capabilities, supported by highly rated global reinsurance partners. Access care in the USA via United Healthcare, the world's largest health insurer.
Time's up.
Time's up. So before we get out of here, let me just ask one last thing. give me your contact details for any one of the listeners out there that want to get in contact with you.
You can contact Sharon Spencer at 327-8747 or 814-2542.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sharon. We'll be right back. Thank you for tuning in to Your Health, Your Wealth right here on Bobo 89.1 FM.
He had a speck of cloud in the right eye. So I took him to the doctor and they found out that he had congenital cataract, something he was born with. I wasn't thinking of insurance then because I thought once I'm covered, he's covered. And I learned that I needed to get him on his own. And with the help of Dr. Foley, Miss Charmaine, and the rest of the crew, they worked assiduously. They helped us to get through the process. The next day, my baby had an insurance. I thought for a moment that it might have taken some time for the insurance company to cover him. So I started to question it, but Miss Ann Davis was helpful, and the members of BAF team, they were so helpful. They walked me through the steps, and I was a bit concerned still because I said, you can't get an insurance today. It is approved today, and then tomorrow you can use it. He was sent to Miami at Bascom Palmer, where the insurance would now be proven if it is actually true. I remember they sent me a figure. They quoted a figure to me. I have nothing near that, neither in account, neither in cash, not even in coin, and said I need to pay this money before the surgery can be performed. I didn't know where that was coming from. And I started to say, why did I pay insurance? And then this is it. I spoke with the international coordinator, and she said, I have great news for you. And I looked at the phone, and I stopped reading the top of the email, and I saw on the bottom that it says, BAF will cover your baby 100%. So I called Miss Charmaine, and I said, Miss Charmaine, the insurance company said they would cover the baby 100%. Is that true? And she said, Sunan, God works in mysterious ways. And it was then I realized that what BAF had done for my son, he was able to do that surgery. Up to this point, the only money we have paid in about 4 visits is $88. Every time I think about it, it brings tears to my eye, because to know we could not afford a surgery. And for him to be seen now, because he was totally blind in the right eye, my family and I would just want to say thanks, because you've given us something that we could not afford. You had offered my son vision that only God could have touched this company to offer him, and everything is working perfect.
Your health, your wealth, your health, your wealth, your health for life. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance. Your health, our priority.
Well, that's our show. Daniel Reed gave us real-life experiences and how to help your autistic family member live a happy, productive life, as well as how to cope as a family. Lady K gave us great information on autism and important tips to keep our children safe around water in the summertime. Remember to check out Lady K's videos on the Be Well, Be Healthy for Life channel on YouTube, or if you have a podcaster, you can find all your episodes on Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podcast Addict, or Podbean. Just look for the Be Well, Be Healthy for Life channel.
And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Those videos are life-saving health tips brought to you free by BAF Insurance. The YouTube channel is Be Well, Be Healthy for Life, and you can also catch up on Your Health, Your Wealth shows that you missed at the same time. Until next week, we are Desiree and Chuck, encouraging you to start now to live a healthier, happier life.
Your health, your wealth, your health, your wealth, your health for life. Your Health, Your Wealth is brought to you by BAF Insurance. Your health, our priority.
This program is brought to you as a community service of BAF Insurance. The views, opinions, and advice expressed by guests on this show are those of the guests and do not reflect the views, opinions, and advice of BAF Insurance. For medical advice, please visit your medical professional.